Challenge series on the GAC Group ITTF World Tour US Open Stop. My name is Sean O'Neill and I'm seated beside World Team member Han Xiao. Han, we've got a very nice matchup here with both an American and Japanese opponent. Why don't you take us through the matchups?
On the near side in the purple we have Mika TSUCHIDA from Japan, currently without a world ranking. And on the far side in black from California we have Jiaqi ZHENG, world ranking 153 at the moment.
Best of 7. I think we'll see a lot more energy from both these players than in some of the previous qualifying matches in both the youth and singles events.
Now this is going to be an interesting style matchup because Jiaqi has short pips and is a pen holder, but serves with the reverse and hits backhands with the reverse, whereas TSUCHIDA has short pips on the backhand side. So how these angles and diagonals are going to work in terms of who's hitting into the pips is going to be really interesting to see.
Be interesting to see if Jiaqi is able to really take advantage of her opening backhand loops, which sometimes she'll not only spin but sometimes hit the ball on the reverse side a little flatter before going to that extremely flat forehand smash.
And you see some pen holders who are really awkward with the reverse backhand or have it in their game just because it's necessary sometimes, but Jiaqi is really natural at that particular shot. She can generate a lot of spin and a lot of speed off the reverse backhand.
And she can definitely create a lot more spin that you would think even off of her forehand. When somebody pushes out to her forehand, she really loops the ball well. Even though it's pips, that ball will jump on the table. All the Japanese players that we've seen at the US Open have had excellent serves, really mixing it up well. Mika's sister, Miki, great reverse tomahawks. Both players very good during rallying skills, but their serves definitely set up their offensive weaponry. Jiaqi's really going to have to be ready for those deep serves. I have a feeling she's going to see at least 20 to 30%. And that's generally a good idea against a pips out player, to back them up as much as possible.
Additionally, it's usually a good idea against the pips out player to sort of bait them into a bad attack and then to counterattack them. If they get into a blocking rhythm, they can usually block a good number of balls and block you out of position, but a bad pips out attack is probably one of the worst things in terms of your opponent being able to counterattack it.
Very well placed deep push out to the forehand. Not only did she follow it up with a block, but it was a placement block with some pace on it. TSUCHIDA's really controlling the angles nicely and getting her own backhand opening into play. Jiaqi on the far side looks a little confused right now. Good credit to TSUCHIDA moving her around, getting it out to her forehand side, not letting her get comfortable with her backhand reverse attack.
Here's the first game, 11-6 to Tsuchida. And so far, Tsuchida has really controlled all the angles, all the placement, and not only that, ZHENG usually likes to get on the offensive by using her timing and quickness, but it looks like Tsuchida is actually quicker than she is.
And placing the ball much better so that, again, Jiaqi out to her forehand side really takes her backhand off the table as an option.
And when you hit those angles, it's much quicker to take the ball off the bounce. You have to adjust to the ball. So Jiaqi really hasn't had the opportunity to hit as aggressively as she's wanted to.
That ball caught the edge.
From Jiaqi's perspective, I think the two things you really focus on are serve return placement to not allow the easy openings that Tsuchida's been getting, and also slowing down the timing a little bit sometimes in order to put more quality on the first ball. Because right now, if she just tries to make a quick attack but it's not much quality on the ball, she's going to get moved out of position really quickly. Instead, when she's able to get the heavy spin on the backhand or get a strong first forehand opening, then she's in control of the point immediately.
Seems all the Japanese women players especially are so strong at the fast hand-to-hand kind of combat, but once they get into a quick rally that they can keep that ball nice, low, deep, move it around, both kind of short backhands and short forehands, not taking a big swing, and if you choose to play them that way, while they might not hurt you with one shot, they will get you out of position eventually.
The fundamentals are so solid.
And they just take the ball. That's a nice, powerful shot by Jiaqi.
And that's exactly what Jiaqi needs to do. Pick a ball. Don't necessarily have to take it off the bounce, but put that extra bit of quality on the ball. Jiaqi, knowing that was a bad miss, she had an opportunity to open up a little bit of a margin in this game.
Got away with a nice controlled opening there, but Tsuchida is so strong right off the bounce. Not letting that ball come up, but using her pips to take some of that difficult spin off the opening.
It's a smart service and attack combination.
Yeah, a little shallow on Jiaqi's opening loop.
But that's also what Jiaqi needs to be looking to do as well, is when you've got two short pips players, whoever makes the weak attack is really in trouble. And that sort of deep serve is the perfect bait for a weak opening. Either half-long or deep serve that the opponent doesn't expect often opens up those types of opportunities.
The short serve isn't going to be that effective against either pips player.
But the sort of half-long or deep serve isn't really part of Jiaqi's usual service repertoire. She usually just has really simple spin, no spin serves, short, especially short into the forehand. I don't don't know where the surprise factor is going to come from.
And that soft opening high to the middle, Tsuchida had no difficulty stepping over and playing a strong backhand at an angle.
Jiaqi's looking really hesitant on the forehand. And I know she can actually take it a little bit more aggressive, but I don't think she's feeling very confident right now.
Yeah, she's almost trying to guide the ball a little too safe on that return.
And a quick turnaround, Tsuchida now has a 3-point lead in the second game, already up 1-0. Jiaqi might be in a little bit of trouble now, down 6-9. That's unlucky. Changed the serve up, which was a good idea, but Tsuchida's return just catching the top of the net. 4 game points.
Again, well-placed balls all over the table off of Tsuchida's serve, mixing it nicely to the short forehand, getting Jiaqi out of her backhand corner, while at the same time being very aggressive on her backhand openings, just really dictating from the first point of the first game. So we have now an 11-7 after winning the first game 11-6. And so far, nothing really that Jiaqi has done has made it difficult.
And Tsushida's gotten more variety on almost everything. In the rally, on the serve, on the return. It's really mixing it up well. And not only that, her placement just has been better. She's been playing the entire table, whereas Jiaqi's been playing maybe 3 spots on the table.
I think Han, the placement's what's overshadowing Jiaqi's game right now, because Jiaqi's opening up, but just to put it on the table. When Tsuchida's opening up, she's always placing Jiaqi out of position, and then she can continue with another attack.
Also the variety. Pips players have to be so precise that Jiaqi's inadvertently stumbled at points on some of the things that she might be able to use, but I don't think she's realized it, nor her coach. Which is, sometimes if you put extra spin, sometimes if you put extra power on the ball, but also sometimes if you're doing serve returning, you put less pace on the ball. The Pips player has tremendous difficulty dealing with that sometimes, and I don't think she's really used that sort of variety to her advantage. And I have to wonder whether Jiaqi Zheng's come into this match with the right mental state to play this match. I did notice that she had a conflict right before this match and was saying that the umpires were trying to default her due to some sort of misunderstanding or confusion there. She seemed very upset before the match, so I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But she does seem like she's not the sharpest.
Right, she's out of sorts a little bit. Not the classic Jiaqi Zheng that we're used to seeing, coming out and firing on all cylinders.
Normally when we see her, she's the one whose placement is bothering other players. Her quickness, her pinpoint accuracy on all her shots, forehand and backhand, and she really hasn't exhibited much of that.
And as a former U.S. Open women's singles finalist and a semifinalist, she's definitely comfortable on this type of stage.
But she's come out this game and added a little bit more variety to her attack. She's not just going toe-to-toe. On that last point, she put in a sort of slow topspin with the backhand side. Even though she lost that point, there's the deep serve, set herself up with a good opportunity, just missed the forehand. She hasn't really hit a lot of good forehands so far this match. She's tried a few smashes, but I don't recall any of them really landing. And once she slowed down the pace, changed the timing of the ball, you saw Tsuchida have trouble with that.
I think the spin variation with Jiaqi should be to her advantage, being able to go with the heavy topspin on the backhand as well as the flat forehand. But two strong shots to the forehand make it very difficult for Jiaqi to get anything going unless she powers through that first ball.
She really needs to be confident. I don't know how much she plays against Pips players nowadays. They're kind of rare in the US, I would say, but she needs to be confident because she can't be reactive with her timing. That's the worst possible thing to do.
Just see her tossing her hands up and looking kind of at the ceiling like, what can I do?
She's played certain points well, but for the most part she's been very reactive in terms of her timing instead of dictating what she wants to do and taking the ball at the timing she wants. Tsuchida giving her a little bit of a reprieve there, missing that forehand loop.
That's more expected from Jiaqi, getting that backhand opening in play and then doing the quick hits off the bounce afterwards.
That's a better forehand. Instead of reacting to the timing, she really waited a little bit, knew exactly what timing she wanted to hit the ball at, and really drove through the ball instead of just reaching for the ball and trying to get a racket on it.
Very nice opening by Tsuchida, but unable to finish the point. A little bit wild on the follow-up forehand. That's a penetrating backhand attack by Jiaqi to take game number 3 with a bit of authority, 11-4, to bring back the lead from 2-0 to 2-1.
Tsuchida really gave her a lot of that game with a lot of bad mistakes, especially from 4-5 on. At 4-5, Tsuchida missed a high forehand loop into the net, which is something that's a cardinal sin for anyone who's a looper. You don't want to miss a high ball into the net. But from there on, Jiaqi really grew in confidence, and I think in this game she added a lot more variety into her attacks. You saw a lot more slow spins. You saw a few where she was able to take the forehand a little bit more aggressively.
Jiaqi definitely controlled the timing much better, not playing so reactive. But she's got to get going right now. I think the first 4 to 5 points of this game could either begin to close that door again, or Jiaqi might be able to create a little bit more of an opening.
Of course, one of Jiaqi Zheng's strengths as a high-level player is her mental toughness, so absolutely expect her to put up a fight. There are times when she can look frustrated, but it can be misleading. She's definitely one of the more focused players.
That's such a nice, clean, crisp forehand smash.
And that's really not easy to do. Sometimes it looks
she makes it look easy,
right,
but clearly being able to cover the whole forehand and smash off the bounce.
I mean, hitting with pips always, I feel like, looks easier than it actually is. There's a great adjustment from Jiaqi. It was a weird, awkward bounce. She wasn't really quite prepared for it, but she was able to...
It almost looked like the ball came a lot closer than she expected it, but she was able to get her racket up and still somehow managed to keep the power on the ball until she could get back into position. And that's really what TSUCHIDA has to do. She has to get into some combinations where Jiaqi doesn't know where she's going.
Now TSUCHIDA is the one who's really rushing that attack. She doesn't need to do that. She can afford to wait a little bit on that forehand. She doesn't have to take it off the bounce every single time, but she's choosing. That's the second time probably in half a game's duration where she's chosen that play and it just hasn't worked out.
And it appears that Jiaqi is feeling a little bit more comfortable in the pip-to-pip play.
And additionally, I think Jiaqi's realized that if TSUCHIDA is not able to win the point off the bounce, she really doesn't have a whole lot else to lean on.
But TSUCHIDA does have some nice serves. I mean, she definitely has the nice inside-out forehand, both short to the forehand and to the middle.
Yeah, she's
as well
shown
some deep ones.
She's shown good deep serve. She's shown the hook serve. I'm not sure where these extra errors are coming from in the last game and a half so far. That's a great forehand. Cross court.
It just comes out of nowhere. Just, you don't anticipate it, and then bam, all of a sudden, Jiaqi smacking through the ball. Great shots on both sides.
That's exactly what TSUCHIDA needs to do, because I feel like Jiaqi's picked up a little bit on some of her patterns. The last few forehand smashes Jiaqi's hit, it's almost as if she thinks TSUCHIDA's not going wide to the backhand without going wide to the forehand first, and she's just waiting on that ball. That's a lucky net.
Very nice step in by TSUCHIDA on that last flip. Again, presenting a little bit of a different look for Jiaqi Zheng. Such a solid forehand smash. It really wasn't that much of a loose ball for Jiaqi. No trouble from the middle of the table.
No, but TSUCHIDA has kind of given that tactic away multiple times. She's going to play that little backhand down the line before she goes wide to the backhand. She needs to keep Jiaqi honest in a way, because Jiaqi is just camping that forehand corner right now.
Nice smash.
Jiaqi leveling the match at 2 games apiece with that 11-5 victory, and really taking the last 2 games in convincing fashion.
Almost the same level of performance that Tsuchida had games 1 and 2 winning at 11-6 and 11-7. Jiaqi's done the same thing right back, and this 5th game is really going to set the stage to see who's willing to come out and force their game on the opponent. Jiaqi seems to be much more comfortable smashing winners on balls that are just kind of floating there in the center of the table. Tsuchida needs to use a little bit more of that serving advantage to get Jiaqi to just put something a little bit safe on the table and then to play off of it, or at least to put a 2-stroke combination with a quick forehand loop and then a redirect.
Tsuchida needs to start from scratch, because she's been relying on the same tactics for 4 games now, and by now Jiaqi is camping those spots that she thinks Tsuchida is going to try to open up angles with, especially on the wide forehand. And she just keeps going into Tsushida's backhand. She almost expects that backhand down the line at some point before anything else. So she's been able to win a lot of points off that, and I think it's really shaken Tsushida's confidence in the rest of her game, because the same tactics that worked for 2 games aren't working anymore. And as an athlete, at some point, it's easy to say, oh, just start from scratch and it's 1 game, just completely forget the last 2 games, but at some point you do start to think about it and start to panic just a little bit.
This is Jiaqi's first lead of the match after losing those first 2. It's time for Tsuchida to really step it up, start putting some pressure on the ball and not just let Jiaqi have her will.
That's just a rushed forehand right there. There's no way that Tsuchida missed that ball in games 1 and 2. When Jiaqi was giving her the deep push into the forehand, she was consistently making just a good, consistent opening.
And then following it up by another ball, often in a different location, but
and often off the bounce, just a quick backhand to the wide backhand corner, open up the table that way. Doesn't have to win the point immediately.
You're saying it was a
fault service.
Fault serve, low toss, or?
It might have been cupped hand. I think the umpire had warned her previously in the match. I think Jiaqi ZHENG has picked up that without the off-the-bounce backhand being able to win the point for Tsuchida, she really doesn't have a whole lot of other weapons. So once Jiaqi has taken that away, I think she feels comfortable slowing down the pace of the game.
Net edge. Really like that final forehand that Jiaqi put in. She could have overhit, but instead just took her time, kept the ball in play after making 2 marvelous quick attacks. Really controlling the tempo so much better. Games 3 and 4, and now in game 5.
Tsuchida keeping the game close with another hook serve. Good composure from Tsuchida there. A few awkward bounces and net balls from both players, but she was able to keep her poise.
In the first 2 games, if they had that exchange, Tsuchida's was so much more on top of Jiaqi moving the ball around. Now it seems she's just set to keep the ball in play versus any type of positional advantage. There's a nice deep serve. She needs to do a little bit more of that, as well as on her opening loops. Don't just spin it up, but spin it up and forward to put a little bit of pressure on Jiaqi.
And the short serves are nice if you can vary the spin, do some top spin serves, whatnot. But I don't think playing short against the pips-out pen holder is really the way to go.
That's a nice backhand opening. And Tsuchida's done that throughout the match. When she steps in, plays her backhand wide out to Jiaqi's forehand. If Jiaqi's unable to smash that ball, she generally just keeps it on the table.
Some great forehand opening to start point, but she just wasn't ready for the ball to come back.
Critical point right here.
Interesting that we haven't really seen Tsuchida able to counter loop or re-loop at all really this match.
A little bit of nerves there. Great recovery by Tsuchida to bring it back to 10-8.
There's a good backhand off the bounce right into the body. But still one more game point for Jiaqi ZHENG.
Very big forehand smash to really turn the tide.
Now Jiaqi ZHENG has completely turned this match around. Now up 3-2 after being down 2-0. It's all just falling apart a little bit for Tsuchida. Not sure her tactics are as clear as in the first two games. Granted, Jiaqi is playing a lot better, but I do feel like she's definitely lost a little bit of clarity on what she wants to do on every point.
And she seems to be trying to put some service motions into play, but not really sure of what she's going to do after it. She's got very effective serves, but she needs to be thinking out what's going to be more difficult for Jiaqi ZHENG to return versus just going through the same serve over and over again, because clearly Jiaqi's figured out the spin, the speed, the location. It's got to be more of a fifth ball attack than just the serve and third ball.
I'm interested to see what happens if Jiaqi were to loop 5 more balls into Tsuchida's forehand, because I haven't seen Tsuchida do anything off that ball. She hasn't smashed. She's missed pretty much every re-loop. Tries to re-loop off the bounce, but doesn't really time it well.
Right. The time.
She hasn't even tried like just a forehand block either. So I'm really not sure what she can do to deal with that ball.
Looks like just through the body language, Jiaqi ZHENG is really taking her time. She really wants to keep the momentum going and not have to feel like she's back at ground zero after this tremendous comeback. But anytime when you're playing a pips out hitter, anything can happen. They can go on fire for 3 or 4 shots, and then you play a weak ball, they just not necessarily fall apart, but they can go cold. A lot of it has to do with the type of spin and speed coming at their pips.
That's a great recovery from Jiaqi from that really aggressive ball from Tsuchida wide out to the backhand.
Able to take it back down the line.
You see the discipline there from Jiaqi. She knows that the previous point she tried to force something that she didn't need to and immediately slowed the pace down. It's not something she was doing in the first 2 games.
Great block by Tsuchida.
Now there's something that Jiaqi's trying this game that she really didn't do. The last 3 games when she was winning is step around and try to smash. She was having a lot of success just waiting for the forehand corner. And I really believe her backhand is stronger than Tsuchida's. So
this is the Tsuchida that we saw in the first 2 games, right? Being a little bit more forceful, catching ZHENG, playing a little bit more off her heels, not allowing her to get set to go for most of her attacks.
Now it's ZHENG is really complicating the tactics this game so far, which I think is a mistake. She was winning maybe three kinds of points in the last 3 games. Ones where she slowed down, one where she was able to pick off the ball in the wide forehand and make a cross-court smash. And I mean, those were the 2 predominant types of points that she was winning, but she's trying to sort of play more spectacular points, I feel like. Which sometimes can get you in trouble.
Just letting Tsuchida back into the game a little bit by...
You do what works in table tennis until somebody proves they can stop you. It's usually a mistake to try to go away from what's been working and just try to experiment with something else in the middle of the match.
Right, as well as the other players hoping that you just change your tactics when you've got the upper hand. You don't want to fall right into that trap.
Give the opponent some confidence and then go back to your previous tactics when you feel like you need them. Don't necessarily work because you're dealing with an opponent that's a little bit more confident after you've let them back in it.
Now we're back with Tsuchida being a lot more aggressive on her pushes, a little bit more angled.
Whoever's opened in this match so far hasn't really been all that successful, I feel like. Hasn't really been a huge advantage. Might be the first really I've seen Tsuchida make all match. She took a little bit off of it. It wasn't the cleanest shot, but she did manage to place it well. Didn't like that service choice at all, though. She decided to go with the spin no spin Tsuchida did when the hook service and the deep service are working a lot better, and just a straight short serve to Jiaqi I don't think is going to give her any sort of opening.
We could be going 7 here. Jiaqi still having some difficulty getting her smash into play. Serve that just trailed off the end of the table just a few inches. I think it surprised her that she saw a loop coming back so quickly.
Tsuchida took her time on that one, didn't rush it, put good spin on the ball, made a solid opening. With the help of the net, you can make a triple bouncing block. And now 4 game points for Tsuchida. going to a 7th game between Jiaqi ZHENG and Mika Tsuchida. Tsuchida taking the 6th game 11-6. Really brilliantly refocusing herself after having the entire match turned around on her. I really feel like Jiaqi's decisions early in that game were not the best and allowed Tsuchida back into the match. Really tried to overcomplicate things, take unnecessary risks, go away from the things that were working. Whereas Tsuchida really played her tactics well the second half of that game. She needs to keep Jiaqi off balance so that Jiaqi can't anticipate what's going on. She needs to add more variety in placement, but not necessarily random variety. You have a few patterns that work, you just don't need to play the same pattern every single time. You can switch between those patterns.
It's been such a change in rhythm and almost confidence. One player will take the lead, the other one catches up, and then tactics change. Just back and forth, but that's what we anticipate whenever you have Pips players out there, is that it's so tough to just completely dominate because you are playing off the ball of the opponent.
It's really a testament to the high level of play in Japan in recent years that a player of Tsushida's caliber doesn't have a world ranking, probably indicating that she doesn't have a whole lot of international experience, doesn't play a lot of international tournaments, so you can see the level of competition in Japan is quite strong.
I think with her sister being here with the world ranking, it's probably the younger sister getting some benefit of the older one.
As you can see, very high level of play from Tsuchida. She started the 7th game very positively.
Just looks like Tsushida's more match tough in the pressure situation right now.
This might be a good time for a timeout for Jiaqi, even though it's early in the game. And quickly, Tsuchida is up 4-0 in the deciding 7th game, and Jiaqi wants a timeout. Needs to talk things over with her coach. Not a good way to come out of the timeout for Jiaqi. It's now down 0-5 in the 7th game. This match has really been a roller coaster ride so far.
And definitely not the serve you want to throw out at this late in the match.
Still having difficulty returning the deep serve. And still facing a 6-point deficit. And with the mountain decline, Jiaqi looks like she's going for broke this point trying to find some way back into the game. It's looking good for Tsuchida.
And she will have a world ranking after this match, clearly.
Things continue to hold as Tsuchida has 9 match points. She will advance to the next round, and there it is.
Wow.
Tsuchida dominating in the 7th game after being up 2-0 and falling behind 2-3. Really impressive to maintain her focus and come back to win in 7 games. And in the next round,